corrosion, be corrosive.
Sarah Hakim is a geography teacher at Denby High, a large inner-city school in Luton. An hour away, in the heart of the Bedfordshire countryside, is Sharnbrook Upper School, where Dee Saran is also a geography teacher.
If you don't get this, this is worrying.
This programme gives the two women the opportunity to observe in each other's classrooms, to see how they teach their lessons differently. What will they learn from each other? And what can this teach us about the benefits of shared practice? First, Dee observes Sarah at Denby High.
In this particular school, most of our intake is from pupils from a Pakistani and Bangladeshi background. So what that actually means is that sometimes they don't actually have the literacy or English skills to be able to tap into text or to be able to actually access a lot of written work. So one of the main difficulties is to make sure that actually pupils are able to understand that particular vocabulary and to relay that across to them.
Hi there, pleased to meet you. Would you like to come in? Now, the first thing I want you to do is we're going to show you a couple of pictures of a case study that I've picked. I'm not going to tell you the location of this case study, but I want you to have a look at these photographs, have a look at them very carefully and think about what they're showing. Think about the impacts of this particular earthquake. Okay, this photograph shows a huge, quite a powerful picture here. What do we mean by huge social impacts? When we talk about social impacts, what are we talking about?
A community gets something like an accident that happens which tears them apart.
Fantastic, good. So social impacts are all to do with people, factors that affect people's lives. Where do you think these photographs have actually been taken?
Is it where Pakistan, like?
Well done. Yeah, good, fantastic. It was taken in the Pakistan earthquake that occurred recently. Can I ask you all to have a look at your case study wheel? It is a circle that's been divided into different sections, and each section is a bit like a slice of pizza. Now, what I want you to do is actually fill in this case study wheel. Brief bullet points. But it's important that you include as many facts and figures as possible, because this is where your newspaper article comes in. Can you have a look at the first paragraph, please, of your newspaper article? 80,000 people died, 3.5 million people homeless, people stuck underneath schools, whole generations lost. Where are you going to put that in? Social impact. You've only got about 10 minutes in order to get as much information down here as possible, because afterwards I'm going to test you with an exam question. And so what happened when they were at school? Yes, you could. What kind of economic impacts do you think will be as a result of this particular earthquake? Right, just a couple more minutes to get this done. You just want brief facts and figures in each section. You've now had a look at the impacts of the Pakistan earthquake. And in front of you, you've got an exam question. This is a GCSE exam question. The whole idea is for you to practice your essay style. What is the first thing we need to tell our examiner? What is the first thing we need to say at the beginning of our story?
Location.
Location, fantastic. Once you've given the location, what is the next thing that you're going to do? Are you going to just list off all the impacts? What are you going to do?
Social impacts.
Now, the order that you do this exam question is the order of your wheel. Take each section one by one in a very logical way. Good introduction. So what's the next bit on your wheel? Social impacts of this event were?
Terrible.
Were terrible, good. And then you can say 80,000 people died. Now, this is what the examiners use to mark a GCSE question. If it is a level 1 answer, then you've probably only briefly given details about the case study, it says. It says you briefly described the impacts. You haven't really explained them. The next paragraph says, many social, environmental and economic impacts described. If you've done all of that, environmental, social, economic impacts described, and you supported it with facts and figures, then that's the kind of level 2 answer. Now, a level 3 answer. Name the case study, detail facts and figures, lots of impacts described, social, economic and environmental, supported with facts and figures. However, this time what makes it different is that your long-term impacts have been described in detail. Now, what I want you to do is to have a mark your exam question, see which one it actually fits, which of these descriptions does your answer actually fit. Give it a level 1, level 2 or level 3, and then afterwards I want you to justify, explain to me why you've given yourself that particular grade.
can't see us, but when it's talking to us.
Now we're going to have a go at this exam question again in another couple of weeks' time to see if your grade has actually improved.
Yeah, I thought it went well. I thought the AFL activity that Zara used was very good, and I think it was good in sort of initiating their understanding about what it takes to answer a good exam question.
Today it's Sarah's turn to observe at Sharnbrook.
As teachers, you don't really get a chance to see other people and see you practice from the back of the classroom. So it'd be really a great opportunity to see someone else teach and gather a bit of inspiration and ideas.
My key strengths are hopefully trying to bring students' experiences into the way that I teach and trying to take what they have and their understanding of daily geography and sort of bring that into my teaching. Okay, and the aim of today's lesson is to understand what ecological footprints are and how and why they vary. The first thing I want to ask you is, did you all go away and do your questionnaires with your families? Brilliant, okay. What kinds of questions were on your ecological footprint questionnaires? What kinds of questions were they? And what were they designed to do?
To see how much we harm the environment.
Good, well, harm the environment was to see what impact we had on the environment. On the board here, I've got a big red footprint with the number 35. That's the maximum score you could have got. And the lovely green, environmentally friendly footprint, which is 14. I'd like to hear some of your scores, please, okay? Peter?
I got 15.
Okay, you got 15, which is very close to about here. Okay, and did you ask one of your adults, or who did you ask? Okay, and? 19, not too far off. Okay, we'll put Peter's mum here. Would you say overall, the person that you asked, your adult, was their footprint bigger than yours? Or was it smaller? Bigger. Would everyone agree bigger? What I want you to do is discuss with the person next to you, why is it that their footprint is bigger than your footprint? What do they do that might be different to what you do, okay? You've got a minute just to quickly discuss that, then we're going to feed back to the rest of the class. Off you go. Those of you whose footprint was smaller, why was it smaller? Amy, was yours smaller than your parents? Why was that, do you think?
Because my mum travels, like she does all the school runs.
Oh, right.
And we have 5 kids in our family, so it's 3 different schools.
Wow. What I'm going to show you is a DVD of me somewhere during Easter holidays. I went somewhere during Easter holidays. What I want you to do is, number 1, guess where I went. Okay, and number 2, what I want you to do is to think about the different things that I'm doing whilst I was on holiday. And the reason why I'm asking you to do this, okay, is because I want to talk about how your footprint might actually vary at different times of the year. Okay, what am I doing while I'm on holiday? Okay, hands up and tell me, where do you think that was? Where do you think that was?
Rome.
Brilliant, Rome. Now, what was I doing while I was there? Yes, Kaylee?
Sightseeing.
Yeah, I was doing lots of sightseeing. I was seeing the main things. How do you think I got about on my daily routine?
Did you go on a tour bus?
I did go on a tour bus, okay. How might my footprint be different then to my daily routine? I want you to write down how my footprint may be bigger or smaller, you might think it's smaller, and why you think that. Would anyone like to volunteer what they wrote?
I think that it may have decreased because you walked places and you used the public transport to get around the city, but you might have increased it because you went by plane.
Good. Would you like to change some daily habits? Yes, we would, miss, okay? Let's get your questionnaires out that you did. On the back of those, okay, we have got a little diary. Over the next 5 days, you are going to closely monitor your targets. Remember, your mission is to reduce your footprint over the next week. Nikki, what did you set yourself?
Turn the light off more.
Turn the light off when you leave the room.
When the heating comes on, instead of leaving it on and opening a window, just go and turn the heating off.
True. How many of us are guilty of that? Can you see, by doing small things, how we can reduce our footprint a little bit more? Maybe if at the end of this topic you will really realise how important it is.
I think Dee's lesson was really, really excellent. I like the way that she used personal geographies of the children, their personal eco-footprint, to kind of engage their interest right from the very start of the lesson. The pace of the lesson was really excellent. She was constantly kind of getting the pupils to do an activity, paired discussion, and then bringing the class back and kind of having mini plenaries throughout the lesson.
Had you done AFL before, using that sort of levelling?
Our Key Stage 4 pupils aren't so confident in answering longer type essay questions, especially at GCSE. So the idea behind that is really to get pupils beforehand practicing these kind of open-ended longer questions.
Do you find it's difficult for students to understand what is it that actually makes it a level 2 to 3?
answer.
It's the interpretive
It's kind
skills.
of being able to differentiate between a level 1, level 2 and level 3. And the only way that you can actually sort of get around that is by making the students more familiar with that kind of vocabulary and that kind of language. And so over time, if they keep practicing those questions, then they'll hopefully start to get an idea as to what actually the differentiating factor is.
Yeah. Perhaps when you're doing something like this, you could have like one student who might be slightly stronger, sitting with a weaker student. Also looking back at your lesson, you used photographs for the earthquake in Pakistan. What were you hoping to come out of that?
I think it really made it perhaps easier in the long run for them to be actually able to describe those impacts on their case study wheel, because they'd actually seen it in visual format beforehand. And I mean, you did a similar thing. Yours was just fantastic. Highlight the lesson for me was the DVD that you used of your own, because you were using their personal geographies, and then you engaged even further, and you said, right, this is where I've been on holiday, and that was a really good starting point for them to think about linking the local to the global.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do.
Very apparent. So paired discussion was a good idea, but perhaps, I don't know, maybe more structure for the weaker pupils that take more time to perhaps think of those ideas, and you gave them a very short time limit as well due to the pace of the lesson.
I mean, that group loves to talk. They do like to discuss, and if that's how that's how they learn.
Kind of use that as a tool.
Because there's a danger sometimes to be so conscious about have they got enough down in their books. It's okay to have a discussion, and it's okay to be more discursive and not always, have a written outcome, which is quite difficult sometimes because you're so focused on assessments and, do they have enough to revise?
I think that's one thing that I'll definitely take from it, the whole discussion aspect.
What do we mean by economic?
For me, the highlight of your lesson was the pizza case study. I really, really like that concept, and I like the way you were referring to as different slices. They could actually visually, pick up that social slice and put down the information, and it gave them logic. I'm definitely going to use that with my Year 10s.
I think I'm going to be a lot more experimental with my kids, in the sense that allowing them that independence to go away with their own ideas, and giving them more open-ended tasks so that actually see what kind of creative ideas they come up with. It might be a bit more risky because perhaps some of them are less able, but I think if I have the confidence in them, they'll be able to come up with those ideas. So yeah.